how to run a one-sample t-test to test claims about the mean. So in this test, what we're going to do is it tells us that average heart rate for Americans is 72 beats per minute, and we have a group of 35 individuals who were randomly selected to participate in an aerobics fitness program to lower their heart rate. After 6 months, the group was evaluated to identify if this program had significantly slowed their heart rate. The mean heart rate for the group was 69 beats per minute with a standard deviation of 6.5. Was the aerobics program effective in lowering the heart rate? So, first things we need to do is always write out the null and alternative hypothesis. So they were saying that the aerobics program was effective in lowering the heart rate. So the heart rate started at 72. So our mean was equal to 72, and we want to know if it lowered it. So we want to know if it's less than 72 now. So if it was lower than what we started with. So that is our null and our alternative. Remember, we'll have lowering. We're going to use that less than sign. Then we need to check our conditions. So for the conditions, first we need to know if it's a random sample. It says they were randomly selected, so that should be good. Then we need to know if it's normally distributed or if the sample size is large enough. Our sample size is 35, so it's greater than 30, so we are good with our conditions. So now we can go over to the app, and you want to go to inference for a population mean app, because that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about average, the mean. And what we're going to do is, since we just have summary statistics here, we're going to go into summary stats. If you had a long list of data, you would go to your own. But this time we don't have data, we just have our summary. So we're going to go to summary statistics. Our variable here, we are talking about the heart rate. Our sample size was 35. Sample mean, it tells us that the mean for those people was 69. And it says that the standard deviation was 6.5. And then we are doing a hypothesis test, and we want to click on significance test. And then we want to put in our null value, which we said was 72. And we want to make sure we have less than. So now everything should line up to what we have. Our sample size was 35, sample mean was 69, sample standard deviation was 6.5. The null, we have our mean equals 72. Our alternative is mean is less than 72. So we get a test statistic of negative 2.73. And a p-value of 0.0050. So our t, negative 2.73, p-value 0.0050. Since we don't have an alpha, we're just going to assume our alpha equals 0.05. That's what we're always going to assume if we're not given one. 0.0050 is less than 0.05. So we reject the null. Remember, if p is less than alpha, we reject the null. So whenever you reject the null, that means we have evidence for the alternative. So we have convincing evidence that the average heart rate is lower than 72 beats per minute. So there is evidence that the aerobics program was effective in lowering the heart rate. And that is how you do inference for a population mean for a one sample t-test.